It's Tuesday, November 13th, Wednesday, November 14th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you nightly on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. If you're checking out our archives, all you got to do is go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. They are free for your listening ears. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. Soon, shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store. Read up on the encounter, make that the SOR Newswire, and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Ensuho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Go to spacedoutradio.com, click on the Ensuho banner, and subscribe to the channel today. One of the biggest mysteries in the last few years around North America has been the case of a young 21-year-old woman named Elisa Lam, who decided to take a break from university to travel from Vancouver, British Columbia, down to the sunny coasts of California. Little did she or her parents know that this trip would be a one-way excursion, as a beautiful young woman was found dead on February 19th, 2013, bloated in a water tank atop the roof of the Los Angeles hotel, the Cecil Hotel. Was it suicide? Was it foul play? 5 years later, there are still some very pointed questions that make people wonder about the police investigation. Tonight, a blogger from Vancouver, Klaukien, joins us. He's been following this case since the beginning. He believes the official story, compared to the evidence, doesn't really line up, and we're going to find out why tonight. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine is back with another edition of the SOR Newswire. Lucas, thank you so much for joining us on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. So glad to have you with us. How are you?
Not too bad. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, I like having fellow British Columbia people on here. Just seems like it's so homegrown when that happens. Even though we're broadcasting around North America, worldwide, you know, I'm trying to make you panic here because I know you're a little nervous. But no, I'm just teasing, my friend. We got people all around the world listening to us, and you know, when we can have someone so close to home like you down in Vancouver, it makes it a little bit more of a special night for me. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's a very Vancouver-centric story. And the fact that it has Vancouver roots is one of the reasons why I got so heavily involved in researching what happened to Elisa Lam.
Well, first off, let's learn a little bit about you, you know, because you're a Vancouver guy, you're a blogger, which a lot of people are doing these days when they have interest. They just feel the need to write. What got you into blogging?
The need to write. I've been writing for a long time, and I just didn't have anything to work on, so I decided to make myself a little project there. I was doing album reviews in the metal world, in the heavy metal scene.
Good stuff.
And that got the wheels turning, and eventually I branched out from that to write about some other interests. I've had a lifelong fascination with the paranormal and just Fortean mysteries, which I think you could include Elisa Lam in that. And I gave myself an outlet for that.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. I mean, anytime we can, you know, use our creativity and put the fingers to the keyboard, because we really can't say pen to paper anymore. Does anybody actually really do that? I don't know. But nonetheless, you know, it's something that you were able to get your own creative wit out of. And, you know, you mentioned the paranormal, and we're mainly a paranormal show, even though we do delve into mysteries every now and again. What really intrigued you about the paranormal?
When I was 3 years old, we lived in a haunted house, and I've been fascinated by thinking about what it was that happened there to me, and how it affected, you know, my perception of the world around me. Since then, pretty much my whole life, I've been looking into it, thinking about it, reading, it's just been a lifelong kind of thing.
Oh, you have to tell us this story now. We're not letting you off the hook that easy if you lived in a haunted house.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing because I do approach things naturally as a skeptic. So even though these are things that I experienced firsthand, and I still, will just do mental gymnastics to try and figure out why these things happened. But mostly it's a feeling. That's the one thing that you can't really put down to. There's a loose screw in the wall that knocked a dartboard off and landed in just a weird way. It landed face up, like 6 feet away from the wall. This dartboard. Little things like the feeling of presence, that are really hard to explain when you're alone. I had kind of voices. I had a weird experiences with a popsicle. Something in my head told me that it was a bright idea at 3 years old to bite off as much of the popsicle as I could and try to swallow it whole. And I choked, and my family panicked, and my uncle grabbed me by the ankles. He was shaking me upside down. And another time I was in the basement with my mom taking the training wheels off of my bicycle, and so I was spinning the front wheel, just idly spinning the wheel, and there's something just told me to stick my finger in the spokes as it was spinning, and I did, and it hurt. And just little weird things like that. My uncle's girlfriend, we came home one day, and she was on the edge of the bed, like white as a sheet, the typical old story. To this day, as far as I know, she never told anybody what had happened. She wouldn't speak of it. Everybody in the house had experiences. My brother, we shared a room, of course, and he would say he would see a shadow in the doorway because we slept with the door open. It was right across the hall from my mom's room, and he would hear footsteps and see a shadow, and he would ask the next morning, and obviously it wasn't my mom or my uncle who lived with us at the time or his girlfriend. Just a lot of things like that. We only lived there for about 6 months before my mom couldn't take it anymore. And when we moved, the landlord, by way of explanation, said the previous occupants of the house were, in the landlord's words, Satan worshipers. So take that for what it's worth.
Oh, goodness. That's just opening up the whole, Pandora's box of good versus evil.
Yes. Yeah.
Strange.
I mean, these were not your white satanic worshipers.
No.
These were the black guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you there. Have you ever been on a paranormal investigation?
No, I haven't.
You know what? I'll line that up for you.
Really?
Yeah, you hit me up.
I'd love to do that, actually.
Yeah, man. I got a good buddy of mine down there, Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada. He comes on here the third Wednesday of every month where he talk about Canadian ghost stories. And I will hook that up with him for you to join him because you're a paranormal blogger, and we'll set that up for you and let you go out and have some fun and play with his toys. He's got some good toys.
That would be amazing. That would be a lifelong dream come true. Really, that'd be great.
Oh hell, we'll make that happen. I promise you that.
Oh, that's awesome. There's a I got a friend of a friend who knows another guy who has a security video set up in his place. He's a wealthy guy. He has his own private gym in his basement. It's a rather large gym, and these big heavy weights he found were kind of scuttled across the room when he left. He would be out for a week, say, on business, and he'd come back and these 100-pound or 50-pound weights would be here or there in the gym. And he wondered what was going on. Somebody was using his gym equipment when he wasn't there, but nobody was house sitting or, had access to the place. So he set up the security video, and he saw that they're moving on their own. And I've been begging my friend to have us stay overnight there. Just let us stay in the gym overnight,
Oh yeah,
having
you're brave.
That word back.
You are brave, my friend. Oh yeah, it'll be a good time. Hey, I want to start switching gears here, and
sure.
Elisa Lam. How did you get interested in this case?
My girlfriend showed me the elevator video. I guess at the time that was released, right away it was look at this weird, creepy video, and what is this? And as time went on, the body was found and everything. The only narrative the narrative that I saw that dominated, the comment sections online, or other blogs or forum posts, was just the similarities between the surface details of Elisa Lam's disappearance and some of the plot points of the movie Dark Water, which I'm sure if you're familiar with the case, you've heard the connections before.
Well, we'll get into that.
A lot of
we can get into that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of really weird and spooky synchronicities with Elisa Lam. Just even down to the clothing she was wearing in the famous elevator video that was released, where she's wearing a red hoodie and black shorts with a gray T-shirt underneath. It's almost the same wardrobe that the character in Dark Water is wearing. She's wearing a red cardigan with a white shirt underneath and black skirt. And she's wearing that when she goes up onto the roof to find the body in the water tank. It's just little bizarre things like that. So I can see why people latched on to that. It's fascinating. But, as you mentioned at the top of the show, I'm a Vancouverite, and I feel like, some weird familiarity with Elisa Lam, and I really humanize her. And I wrote my my blog article about what happened. It was a 2-part thing. And I really wanted to focus on, trying to humanize this girl and trying to express the real tragedy of a beautiful young girl who just wanted to go on vacation and enjoy herself, and she never came back. And, I don't think that suicide was a part of what was on her mind when she was down there. I mean, she was buying gifts for her family to return to them. So the idea of suicide doesn't really match up to me.
Well, before we get too deep into the whole suicide matchup, because that is a huge part of what we're going to talk about tonight. Who is Elisa Lam? What was she about? How did she end up there taking a break from university and just taking a California vacation? Well, she's a 21-year-old university student. She went to UBC. And I guess some of the pressure of maybe living up to the family's expectations or whatever it might be kind of, was a bit too much for her. So she withdrew from a bunch of her classes in one semester. And then she felt like it was going to look bad on her transcript and she was going to have a hard time getting into grad school.
So she decided that she couldn't really do it that semester of the new year of 2013. So she took the semester off, and she wanted to just recharge her batteries and travel and take her mind off of the pressures. And that's how she ended up in LA, in that spot. That's kind of the background of that.
Does she come from a good family, an affluent family, or was it a tight family? And the one thing that we do have to say about this, if you're in the Vancouver area, everybody in the Lower Mainland knows how tough it is to get into a school like UBC. And because Vancouver is such a multicultural city, we also all know in British Columbia that the Chinese, the Japanese, and any other group from Eastern Asia who's moved over here, we know the importance of education and the stress that they put on education from those communities. It is number one outside of everything. They want straight A's, and A- isn't good enough, is it?
Right. Yeah, that's right. And I guess you could say she comes from a middle-class background. Her parents own a restaurant on Hastings Street, in the good part of Hastings Street. Everything you said was right. There's a lot of Elisa Lam's story that I feel like it's kind of important to understand where she came from culturally, and I'm not even sure how to even broach it, because I'm just sort of steeped in it, right? It's a very Vancouver thing to be very familiar with the Chinese community. It's a thing that you almost just, it's hard to describe.
It's just there. You just accept it.
You just know what it is. You know what it. You know what kind of pressures that the parents will put on their children as students. You know?
Exactly. Now, her health wasn't the best. She suffered from a multitude of different mental diseases. Do you want to break that down for us?
Yeah, she was diagnosed as being bipolar, having bipolar disorder, and I'm not sure what other disorders she might have been diagnosed with. I know she was given a cocktail of medications to take on a daily basis, which, based on her autopsy report, it looked like she wasn't keeping up with her prescribed levels of medication at the time of her disappearance and death. But, it's almost like...
Yeah.
Sorry?
No, I just said, yeah, sorry, I'm following along.
All right. It's almost like a whole other can of worms, though, that whole conversation. Because I just feel like she had an active mind. She was, intuitively aware of her surroundings. This is just based on some of her own personal blog posts, where she would really open up in them about what she was experiencing. And I feel like, she felt like she wasn't normal, because she didn't really try to hide her own feelings from herself or the people around her. So then, her parents maybe started to worry, and she either went into therapy on her own or was put into therapy, and then just sort of labeled, bipolar, and then given these prescriptions. And just based on my personal experience, I've had good friends who maybe went through a bit of a tough breakup and didn't know how to handle it, went to therapy, were, labeled bipolar, given medications, and then began to exhibit side effects, like such as, hallucinations or just behavioral changes. That's kind of a whole other can of worms, though. But that's that is part of Elisa Lam's story, is being medicated, being diagnosed as bipolar, and possibly suffering from hallucinations, although I think that's speculation at this point. I don't know if anybody knows that.
Right. We got about 2 minutes here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour here. And I'm just curious, what was she like as a person in your investigation? Was she popular? Was she someone who was very enclosed? Or was she somebody out who would, have a lot of friends going out, hanging out, and maybe going to restaurants or clubs at 21 years old? That's what kids do to blow off some steam. What was she like?
I get the feeling that she, based on some of the photos I've seen of her and some of her posts, that she had a tight group of maybe a dozen people that she grew up with, that she was still in contact with, but maybe she was starting to drift away from them a little bit and try and start to find her own path in life. I think she felt that tension of wanting to go out on her own but not wanting to disappoint anybody. I think she was somewhat just kind of closeted in some way socially. But I think she forced herself to stay out there, stay relevant within her social circle.
I guess that would have been trying to control, her own anxiety or depression of being alone.
Right, yeah. I mean, ultimately, appearances are also a big thing, or can be a big thing culturally. So, it's important to keep up appearances, that everything's fine, that, yeah.
I mean, looking at some of her photos, she seemed very happy. I mean, she took a great photo. She was a beautiful young lady. And to know that, she just needed to get away. Sometimes people need that. They need that break from the everyday society because it's just a mental break. And I guess when she planned her trip to California, I'm going to assume, and maybe you know better, that this was what it was all about. But we're going to get to that right after the break here on Spaced Out Radio. Our guest tonight, Lucas Klaukien, talking Elisa Lam mystery. We'll be back with more on Spaced Out Radio right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. We're talking about the mysterious death of Elisa Lam down at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles 5 years ago. Vancouver, British Columbia blogger Lucas Klaukien is our guest tonight, and we're talking about this mysterious case. Lucas, welcome back.
Thank you.
Before we get too heavy, right before the break, I was asking you about the type of person Elisa was. And, you know, you're looking at her photograph. She was a beautiful young lady who was very photogenic, you know, seemed to have, or to be able to, you know, almost like Facebook, put that perfect image on the front where inside she was hurting. So when she booked this trip down to California, could we say that it was just a mental break for her to try and get rid of a lot of this stress that she felt that she was having at that time?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, you know, it was a vacation, you know, that she probably needed pretty desperately. I know a lot of young people really have that wanderlust in them. So, you know, it's not just needing a break. It's also, you know, recharging with new experiences. Hopefully, coming back not only a recharged person, but a new person. You know.
Yeah, and you really can't blame anybody for just wanting to get away and take a break. I mean, I think we all need that break every now and again. Lord knows I do, and thank gosh that Mrs. Spaced Out Radio allows me a trip to Vegas every now and again to go play some poker and blow off some steam. So it works
nice.
out pretty. Yeah, it works out pretty good that way. But when it comes to everything that revolves around her, what is the timeline? If you could take us back, because she, and I realize we're going back 5 years ago, because she left just to go for this mental break to get away from everything, and she just needed some fun in the sun. And I believe she went from Vancouver at first to San Diego.
Yeah, that's right. And then she traveled north up the California coast. She arrived in LA January 26th, 2013, and she was last seen January 31st. I think she was supposed to leave either that day or the next day, February 1st, and that's right around the time that she disappeared, which I think is an important detail.
So when she went down there, did she have friends down there, or did she go just on a journey on her own to explore the finer side of California?
Yeah, I remember there's some evidence anyway that she was going to meet somebody or some people, some friends that she had made online through her Tumblr blog. But, you know, I don't really know the specific details of that. I think those would be very important details to know for any criminal investigation from police perspective. But the details of that, I'm not sure are known publicly. But there was some evidence, though, yes, that she was going to meet up with some people, other young women, I believe, from Tumblr.
And that's where the dangers of the internet comes in, because you're meeting people that you don't know. You don't know if they're actually men, actually women, predators, whatever they could be. I mean, was there any concern on it? Or at this point in her life, with the stress that was on her, did she even care?
I don't think there was ever any indication of concern. You may chalk that up to naivety. I mean, she was 21 years old. She probably, just took these online profiles or personalities at face value. She had no reason to do otherwise.
So when she went down there, and you mentioned that she spent, a week or so in San Diego before making her way to LA, was that part of the plan, or was she just doing this entire trip spontaneously? Pardon me.
Those details either never knew or I just don't remember, to be honest with you. I don't remember if she had planned her whole trip step by step and had remained steadfast on the timeline, or if she decided to stay an extra day here or there to meet up and hang out with these online friends that she had made.
Now, she did suffer from bipolar disorder and manic depression, and everybody knows that the winters in Vancouver when she did this and went on this trip, I mean, let's face it, Noah could build a multitude of arcs in Vancouver with the amount of rain the lower mainland of British Columbia gets. I mean, I remember living down there, man, and many times, at least once a year, you'd get 40 days and 40 nights of rain. I mean, it's just, that's being absolutely truthful for our listeners who've never been to Vancouver, and it's depressing.
Yeah, I mean, not just winter. I mean, summer can be like that too. Some of those years around the time that she disappeared, the summers were just horrendous. I mean, it was just one long fall. It's just all year long. It seemed like summer never came. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And to get into the sunshine of California, even with the lower temperatures at that point, it's still warm to us Canadians.
Oh, yeah. I remember going to San Francisco in January, and I'm wearing an open hoodie with a T-shirt underneath, and I'm feeling really warm, and I'm seeing these couples walk by all bundled up with scarves and gloves on, just laughing. It's the first time I really felt Canadian.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't blame you for that. But getting back to Elisa here, so she may have gone down, and we're hypothesizing here now, but she may have gone down to try and get her bipolar disorder under control with some much needed sunshine, which it's proven medically that sunshine and brighter skies do help, rather than the dreariness of not being able to see the tall buildings in Vancouver, let alone the mountains, due to the rain.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say whether or not she was like cognizant of that being a reason why she might have felt the need to go to California. I would say that's unclear at best.
Now, with her, she was a blogger. She was somebody who was very active on social media. Was that just persona in your research, or was that, her being able to release? Did you ever investigate any of her posts or blogs to try and get any clues? Because I do believe that some of them are still posted, are they not?
Yeah, last time I checked, both of her blogs were still up. Obviously not active, but hadn't been removed for any reason. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. I'm sure the people that knew her would read her blog posts and kind of not completely recognize the voice that they're reading. Because again, part of it is speculation here, but I think why she blogged and blogged so honestly about what she was feeling was probably because she didn't feel like she could speak these things out loud to the people in her life. I doubt they'd understand.
Well, that makes a lot of sense as to what was happening. So she makes her way to Los Angeles. And, coming from a family that, immigrated over from Hong Kong to Vancouver and knowing what it's like the cost of living in Vancouver and going to such an established school like the University of British Columbia, that's not a cheap lifestyle. That's not a cheap area. So when she went on her trip, why head to the Cecil Hotel? Was she staying? Was it cost? Do we know why she would go to almost Skid Row in Los Angeles?
That has always been kind of an important detail and a mystery to me. You wouldn't think that automatically. If somebody told you that this girl coming from this background was going to LA, and where do you think she would stay? The Cecil is the last place that you would think, unless she was versed in its kind of spooky history and wanted a firsthand look at it. But there's no evidence of that. Speculating again, I would say that most likely she was drawn there by somebody that she had met either online or in person that she knew was staying there or staying around there. There had to be some reason to go to that particular hotel or neighborhood.
Well, and that
doesn't jibe with the surface details.
Was she staying in some sort of hostel type hotel or motel in San Diego? Because if she stayed at maybe a little bit more, of a traditional hotel or maybe something a little bit ritzier, to go from there to the Cecil in Los Angeles, that would be awfully strange, would it not?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I wish I knew that particular detail, where she stayed in San Diego or where she was planning to stay in Santa Cruz, I don't know those details.
Oh, that's quite all right. So when she goes to the Cecil Hotel, when you were doing your research on this blog regarding this, what did you learn about the Cecil?
Long checkered history. One time the residents of Elizabeth Short, famous for being the victim of the Black Dahlia murder. One time the residents of the serial killer Richard Ramirez and other serial killers. There's been suicides, murders, rapes, just brutal history to that place.
And a lot of suicides since it opened in 1927.
Yeah, enough that the nickname of the hotel was the Suicide.
Weird. I don't know if I would go there, but its location is also a little eerie as well, because it used to be in a very affluent neighborhood of Los Angeles, and now it's right on the hub of the ritzy part of the city and the slums of the homeless.
Yeah, that's often how those things go. We have our own neighborhood like that in Vancouver. Once the downtown hub and grew to be dilapidated, and now it's just on the outskirts of the glamorous part of town.
Yeah, it does happen. It absolutely does happen. So when you started looking into the Cecil Hotel and its weird, strange history, you're a fan of the paranormal. What was some of the things that caught you off guard about it?
Well, just some of the infamy of some of the residents. I know when I was looking up news articles and videos online when I was doing my initial research, I came across a CNN video where they're talking to one of the long-term residents of the Cecil, and somehow managed to look into that person, and he was a well-known sex offender in the area. Just, it's a real rogues gallery of residents there.
So let's get to the paranormal side. I mean, there's a lot of places in there where a lot of people feel that it is haunted. There's belief that there was satanic type activity from Satanist groups and cults in the facility as well. There's a lot of reports about ghosts. Now, management, from what I have learned about it, is not allowed to talk about anything weird or strange there that actually happens. But the residents, they keep going back, even if they've already passed away.
Yeah, well, I know they've gone through a rebranding since Elisa Lam. I don't know why that is the breaking point for them, this Elisa Lam story. But it still says the Cecil on the outside of the building, but it's not called that officially anymore. Now it's called the Stay on Main. So I think management or ownership wants to distance themselves from its own checkered past.
Would you stay there?
I would, yeah. Just to check things out for myself, just to get into a little bit of trouble, maybe. In fact, I would hope to get into trouble doing what I would want to do if I stayed at the Cecil, which would be to try and get up onto the roof just to see if one can get up there.
Well, apparently that
whether
is
or not
actually
you were
happened.
able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently it was quite easy to get onto that rooftop back in January, February 2013. You would hope by now that it wouldn't be so easy to get up there. But you never know. I mean, after that had happened, there's a video of these three Chinese YouTubers got up without any issue, without any problem, up onto the roof, and even got up to the water tank. Just no problem. And it's on YouTube. You can watch the video. Yeah. What did you think?
I did see that video. I thought it was, after everything that had happened with Elisa Lam, which we'll get into at the next hour, I thought it was very, very intriguing that they were able to race on up there like it was nothing. I mean, this is a hotel that has a history of death, over the years. I'm sure every hotel does. Yeah. I'd hate to see the records of some of the hotels in Las Vegas, how many people have actually died in there. But, there's a history there, a very public history. And you would think in order to change the reputation, especially after the Elisa Lam case, that they would change that or at least put some sort of locking mechanism where everyday people just can't run to the roof to take pictures beside a water tank where a dead body was found.
Yeah. Again, I mean, if I made a trip down to LA, that would definitely be the first place that I would want to go.
Oh, I could think of a lot better places to go than the Cecil. I'm thinking the Rainbow or Whiskey A Go-Go. I mean, you're a rocker, dude. Come on. Go visit.
Check out some of Lemmy's old haunts.
Exactly. There, you know what? There's an interesting question. Totally off topic. I understand that. But Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead, he had a designated spot at the Rainbow Bar, and I'm wondering if he's haunting that now. That would be interesting to find out.
I don't know. I know he has a statue up in a bar in LA. It's a kind of shrine to him. If there was any place that he would still want to go in and put elbow up onto the bar and just, take in the scenery, it'd be around there.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. We got about 90 seconds here before we go to break. Okay. With the Cecil Hotel, do you think that they were aware of the situation with Elisa Lam, or did they have no clue until the police started showing up?
Well, I mean, that's a very pointed question, because either one or more of the staff members knew about it and or were involved or didn't. And if they weren't involved, then it's hard to say. You wouldn't have expected a missing girl from your hotel to still be in the building. You would have expected maybe she ran off, maybe she was kidnapped, maybe she was killed outside the place. You would never have expected it to be there if she wasn't found in her room or in a common area.
Yeah, it was very, very strange. Very strange indeed. Lucas, I'm going to get you to hold on here because we are going to go to a break here at the top of the hour. Hour number 2 is coming up next on Spaced Out Radio. Our guest tonight is Vancouver, British Columbia blogger Lucas Klaukien. His blog site is youmaybedeadanddreaming.blogspot.com. youmaybedeadanddreaming.blogspot.com if you want to check it on out. Now, this Elisa Lam case, we're going to get heavy into it. We're going to find out what Lucas found out and where it's just not really lining up. That's all coming up on the show. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio right after this. Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Chris Cogswell and Chris George Zuger are back with Reality Paranormal. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Tonight's password is Epicaricacy. Holy cow, I think I got it. Epicaricacy is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, space travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. Soon, shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the SOR Newswire put together by Captain Shirk, and so much more. Tonight we are talking about the mysterious death of Vancouver resident Elisa Lam down at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. This 5 years ago. This is where they found her body in one of the water tanks on top of the roof. Real strange story. And there's a lot of question behind it. So tonight we are talking with Lucas Klaukien. He's a blogger out of Vancouver who has investigated this story. Lucas, welcome back to the show. Really appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Anyhow, Elisa Lam leaves San Diego. She heads north to Los Angeles. When did she check into the Cecil Hotel? And take us through the timeline of when she went missing.
Well, I believe that she arrived in Los Angeles and checked in at the Cecil on January 26th. I don't really know much about the days leading up to January 31st. Yeah, nothing at all, actually. But January 31st, she was... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we can assume that she was probably just having a good time in L.A. with some friends or with people whom she was meeting up with.
Just checking things out, taking in the sights and sounds, I'm sure, yeah. And on January 31st, she was planning on leaving the city. So she went to the Last Bookstore, which is pretty close by the Cecil, I believe. Like right around the corner, I think. And she was there buying gifts for her family, which indicates to me that there's no intention of suicide. She was planning on returning. She was even asking questions about, is this book too heavy for me to carry while I travel? Like what should I get for my family members? She was buying records. That's not the kind of thing that somebody who's planning on killing themselves later that day would do. Or even somebody, if whether or not they're planning on doing it, if they're close to even considering it, I doubt they do a thing like that. Actually, I just, right before I came on to the show here, I went back and I reread my article that I'd written on my blog, and I went through the comments section. I've got dozens of comments on there, and some of them are pretty interesting. Some of them are a bit spaced out, let's say, in a negative connotation. But one of them was a YouTube link, which for some reason I'd never clicked on it before. Maybe I didn't trust it, but I decided to click on it this time, and it creeped me out, Dave. It really creeped me out. It was the website for the last bookstore, LA.com, is somebody did a domain search, like who owns this domain name, who owns this website, and there's a thing that you can do where you can hide that information. You can basically pay somebody to hide that information, give the wrong info there. For whatever reason, I don't necessarily know the details of how that works, but the address that came up on the when you do a domain search, it lists the name of the website owner, and their street address, and the postal code, the Canadian postal code that was there for the LA bookstore was the postal code for the cemetery where Elisa Lam is buried. And I don't know why anybody would do a thing like that, but it really creeped me out.
That is very odd. Very, very odd.
I encourage you to find that in the comments on that article and watch that video, because it's super creepy. And anyway, that's an aside. So she went there to the last bookstore, and the woman that was working at the last bookstore, I think her name was Katie Orphan or something like that. She was the last person to remember having seen her before she disappeared. And the next thing that we know is the video that was released by LAPD. The famous video that I hope everybody that listens to your show, Dave, has checked out for themselves and pondered what's going on in that video. I remember when that video was first released, and one of the things that just grabbed my attention, and I'm sure everybody's attention, is you're trying to figure out what's going on in this video, these seemingly bizarre behaviors exhibited by Elisa Lam in this elevator. She looks on first glance kind of frantic. She has kind of herky-jerky movements and weird hand motions with her fingers spread out, and it's kind of the finger motions in particular really seem to spook people. I've watched the video, I don't know, probably, 100 times if I've seen it once. And I've kind of come to my own understanding of what's going on in that video, because she enters the elevator. It's the hotel security cam footage from the corner of the elevator, looking down and out of the elevator, and you see her enter the elevator, and then she hides along the wall. She doesn't want to be seen from the hallway, and then she peeks out, and then she jumps back in, and then she peeks out again, and she turns her head really frantically, and she comes back in and hides in the elevator again. And if you just watch it for the first time, and the way it was billed to me anyway, the first time I watched it is this woman being chased by a demon? What's going on here? Is she seeing ghosts? There's something really odd and spooky about this video, but I really think that her behavior in that video is more playful than frightened. It looks to me like she's playing a kind of game of hide and seek with somebody that's outside the video or outside the range of the camera. At one point towards the end of the video, this is pretty much the last moment that she's seen alive. You see her stop outside the elevator, and she does these bizarre finger motions, And then it looks like she's counting after that on her fingers. 1, and then 2, and she bends her knee, and then 3, bends her knee again, and then she looks like she just kind of like shrugs her shoulders, kind of gives up, and then just walks casually out of frame.
Yeah, it was the hands that really kind of tripped me out about that. I mean, it looked like she was hiding from someone. Like she was almost petrified to look around that corner. But the way her right hand was kind of bent and her fingers were spread out, I mean, that's just not a hand gesture that somebody who's either sober or mentally stable would make.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem right.
I've come to think that the finger thing is kind of an idiosyncrasy. Just, there's other photos of her where she's kind of got her fingers spread out awkwardly. I don't really know why exactly, but you're right. There is a moment in the video when she's pressing elevator buttons, which she does at one point. She presses a bunch of elevator buttons in a row, where it kind of looks like she's a little tipsy or something. There's something. It looks like there's something, even though in the autopsy report it says that she had a minor amount of alcohol in her system, but nothing that would say that she was really drunk or tipsy. I mean, however, her blood in particular was badly decomposed. It was hard to get. It was hard to even say it was blood anymore at that point when she was found.
Right.
Some drugs will kind of, I don't know how to put it. They won't show up in a talk screen after a certain amount of time, of a body being exposed to water for 3 weeks. And that's a long time for her to be sitting in there. So it's kind of inconclusive. And the autopsy report that was released didn't really have full tox results in it. It was noted in the autopsy that tox screen had been done for this, that, and the third, but it didn't have those results attached in the end. But it made mention that nothing was found in her system as it was.
You made mention, Lucas, about how she pressed a bunch of buttons in the elevator. If she was being chased by someone, or somebody was trying to lure her and she was a little bit freaked out about it, why wouldn't she just close the doors? Is there any speculation as to why that happened?
Yeah, most elevators have a closed door button. I do know from... I work as a mover in Vancouver, and I'm in elevators almost every day of my life. And some of the older elevators don't have door close or door open buttons. I know that. Also, one of the actually spookiest things about that elevator video is how the elevator doors don't close. I mean, she's jumping in and out of the elevator unless she's on the ground floor, which apparently she's not in the video. You would expect that door to have closed a long time ago, because that video is about 3 minutes long, and for 2 minutes that elevator door stays open. And there are also some weird anomalies about the video as it was released. It does appear that it had been slowed down when it was released. I again, on my article, there's a video on there where it shows the elevator video as it was released, unedited, as released, speed, and then to the side of that, there's a an edited sped up version of the video at 135%, where it actually looks more natural. Her movements look more natural, as strange as some of her hand gestures are. it appears like they're a normal speed, and there's a timestamp in the lower bar of the video that's obscured, but it's not completely redacted out with a black bar. It's just sort of pixelated, and you can see the numbers ticking off. And in the sped up video, it times out to exactly when you would expect a minute to have elapsed. You see the number change for the minute. And in the video as it was released, the timestamp numbers don't really match up with real time as you're watching it. And then it appears as though 54 seconds of the video had been edited out, like after Elisa exited the elevator. And you can only speculate as to why that is. My theory is that is somebody who entered the elevator after Elisa left, hit a button, tried to go to a different floor, go to ground floor, for example, and the elevator doors didn't close. And maybe the person in the elevator kind of got fed up and then walked out after 54 seconds. And then they kept the rest of the video with the empty elevator for some reason. That's another spooky thing about the video. After Elisa leaves the elevator, the doors close, and then it goes to an empty floor, and then they close again, open up, go to another empty floor because she'd been hitting the buttons. And it just makes it, kind of more eerie, or just, maybe with a melancholy flavor, because you know what happens to her. And then the last thing you get, really, is just this empty elevator just traveling with nobody. It just leaves you in a weird place.
Do you think, Lucas, that she was talking to somebody who was out of the camera view?
I do. And I don't think that person was necessarily there where she thought that person was. I think, I think they were playing some sort of, and they, Elisa and who, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But I believe that it wasn't a hallucination. That seems to be the going accepted theory. That's, that she was hallucinating in a sort of bipolar episode. I believe that she actually was, talking to somebody who either was there or wasn't there, or she thought she might have found the person, or maybe she was the one who was trying to hide. Again, her behavior looks to me to be kind of playful. Like she was excited, but it wasn't, it wasn't a danger excitement. There was some level of trust to whatever it was that she was trying to communicate with. I think maybe she thought that person was on the floor, or maybe they weren't on the same floor as her, but she's calling out to them. Or maybe, because she seems to be directing her attention to her right. And in the Cecil Hotel, that's where the common area bathrooms and showers are located. Those are the doors that aren't locked. So I think she heard somebody in the bathroom, maybe having a shower, or just she knew that somebody was in there, and she was calling out to them thinking that it was this person that they knew. And then, like I said, she kind of just shrugs her shoulders in the end and kind of walks off awkwardly, because either she wasn't getting a response, or because the wrong person walked out. The person that she didn't know, she was expecting somebody else to walk out, and maybe they appeared in the video after that and had nothing to do with any investigation that the LAPD might have had. Again, I don't think that her behavior in the video is a threatened, person's kind of behavior. I think it's playful.
What I find a little bit weird about it is the timestamp on the video, because it seems a little blurred out. Do we know if the police did that or if the hotel was questioned about that? How did that pan out?
I don't know, because, the video was released by LAPD. You have to think that it was the LAPD who did that to the video, because obviously the video came from the Cecil. They handed it over to LAPD, and LAPD released it. If the Cecil had edited the video in such a way, and it seems, to me anyway, it's obvious at this point that the video has been edited as it was originally released, there'd be serious questions about that. Why did you edit the video? That'd be a gigantic red flag. So I think that it has to be the LAPD who edited the video. And why? Again, I think it was somebody completely unrelated that happened to walk into screen. Why they slowed it down, that's a whole other question. Maybe it had to do something with, video compression or something. I don't know. But if the LAPD slowed that video down on purpose, I have no idea why they would have done such a thing.
Well, what was really interesting is that it was slowed down to 15 frames per second from the 20 frames per second that it was actually filmed at. And nobody has really addressed that question, like you said. It's very strange. Now, a lot of people, as we got about 2 minutes here before we got to go to break, a lot of people will say, Lucas, that she was having a psychotic episode at this time and really was not in control because she was off her medications to kind of balance out her bipolar disorder. Do you buy that maybe it was a psychotic episode, or do you think that there was somebody luring her to a dangerous place? Yeah, I've never subscribed to that theory. I know if you go on the Reddit subreddits about Elisa Lam, there's maybe 2 or 3 Reddit users who will just bully everybody and just try, ad hominem attacks. Oh, you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. I have bipolar disorder and I have hallucinations and psychotic breaks and this and that. And it's obvious that's what happened to her. So it really, there are people out there who really try and control the narrative and say that that's what it is. And that's the official story, basically, is that she kind of had some sort of episode, found her own way up into the water tank and jumped in naked. I don't know, threw her clothes in. She was naked. I guess we'll get into that in the next segment. But it just doesn't sit right with me. Yeah, it doesn't sit right with a lot of us who are questioning whether or not the official case is a true happenstance of what really happened. And that's the difficulty of it. Right now, this is a closed case by the Los Angeles Police Department. And, there was question about the autopsy as well. We're going to get into that and more. Coming up with Lucas Klaukien on Spaced Out Radio, we're talking Elisa Lam and the mysterious death of her at the Cecil Hotel 5 years ago. More Spaced Out Radio right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night. Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight I am your host, Dave Scott. Our guest is Lucas Klaukien. We're talking about the mysterious death of Elisa Lam down in Los Angeles, California back in 2013. Strange indeed. Lucas, welcome back.
Thank you.
I do want to mention Lucas's blog if you want to check it out. You may be dead and dreaming.blogspot.com. You may be dead and dreaming.blogspot.com if you want to check things out there. Thank you so much again for joining us. Now, right before the break, we were talking about, the lead up to the elevator scene in, the Cecil Hotel where Elisa Lam was acting pretty strange. Now, there were some, strange reports, and I have no idea how true this is, okay? And I thought it was a little bit odd to throw it in. But there was, people out there basically saying that she had met up with some strange people who had this cloaking device that they were using, and that she was pertinent to some strange top secret information. I mean, that sounds so out of character with everything. What's your thoughts on that?
Ooh, that's the first I've heard of that. You've really blindsided me with that. The closest connection I can think of is I remember reading an article in a local newspaper, a small local newspaper here, about a company in, I think it was Coquitlam, who had invented basically an invisibility cloak. And there was even a photograph of 3 of the people working on this thing lying down on the grass, and they've got a blanket over them, and you just see grass with a weird outline. It doesn't look completely invisible, but it's something. And then I looked into that company, what happened to that company? That was an exciting news story. A year later, and the website was gone. It was, everything was gone. I found out somehow, I don't know how, that company had been bought out by National Defense. So that kind of cloaking technology exists. It's being worked on. Breakthroughs have been made, but it's very quietly been sort of hushed up. It was kind of an interesting thing. I don't really hear people talk about it either. It wasn't a secret at the time, but yeah, I've never heard anything about any sort of cloaking device associated with Elisa Lam.
Well, if it's on the internet, it must be true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of the weird theories that are out there, that she met a man who happened to, I guess she met him online and they went for drinks and he was telling her about this stuff. And there's this silly rumor that basically says, yeah, he was showing her this cloaking device and it got into like real restrictive stuff and that she was involved in some weird MyLab type project, and I don't buy it. I think that's reaching a little bit too far for what is worth. But I'm going to put you on the spot here as we continue on. What do you think happened between the elevator and her being found a couple weeks later in the water tank?
Well, that's the whole heart of everything. That's the whole thing right there, is what happened between the elevator video and her being found. I mean, one can only take a wild guess at this point, just based on what's out there, what's publicly available, information. And my best theory, my best speculation here is that, she had met somebody. Maybe she had met that person online, either through Tumblr or some other type of social media, or perhaps even a dating app. I don't know. Or maybe she just, by happenstance, she met somebody who she thought was neat or interesting and spent a little time with this person over the course of, the few days that she had in town. And it was coming up to the time that she was about to leave. And, maybe that person, a guy, I assume, wasn't getting what they wanted from her. And, things went a little sour. Or maybe even, she just met the really wrongest kind of person. And, things were going well, and then that person took things to extremes that Elisa probably wouldn't have wanted things to get to. And, I think that she met with foul play one way or the other, and she was put into the water tank. Now, whether it was by a hotel employee or somebody completely unrelated to the Cecil that she just happened to know, or who was staying there. I know that she was sharing a hostel room at the Cecil with other guests. The first part of her visit, just jogging my memory now, she was on the 5th floor initially, but the residents complained about some of her bizarre behavior. That's one report that I read. I forget where, though. I can't source that one. And then she was moved to her own room. Maybe she met that person there. I don't know. I find it very hard to believe that, she got up onto the roof by herself with, just for no other reason than she just went up there by herself, removed all her clothes and her wristwatch, threw them into a water tank, and then jumped in after. I find that very hard to swallow. And swallow is also an interesting thing too, because her lungs in the autopsy report were full of water, but her stomach wasn't. There wasn't really any water in her stomach, which is inconsistent with a drowning death, because as you're drowning, you're sort of, your whole esophagus kind of acts as a type of vacuum, and it just sucks water into your stomach and your lungs. And that her death has been ruled a drowning. And at first, in the autopsy report, the cause of death was officially labeled accidental drowning on June 15th. And then that's crossed out. This is in the autopsy report that's easy to find online. and next to it is a, unknown. I forget what the official term is, but that was later ruled official on June 18th, 3 days later, with different initials next to it. So somebody read the initial report, said, no, this can't be ruled accidental because we don't know how she got into the water tank. You can't know how she got into the water tank. So you can't say that it's accidental. So you have to say it's unknown. But it was still officially ruled drowning death, which I think is wrong.
Question from the audience here, this one coming from Everett. He is asking, did Elisa ever formally check out of the Cecil Hotel? And if she did the hotel staff have access to her room and or belongings before the police were involved?
No, she didn't officially check out of her room. She couldn't have. I believe one of the things that was found in the water tank was her key card. So she wouldn't have been able to check out.
Very weird. Do you think it was an inside job or somebody staying at the hotel, or what do you think it was?
Well, I mean, it's tough. It's really tough to say because, I don't want to point fingers at, somebody who's possibly innocent. I have no idea, but there was some suspicion that it was one of the guys who worked the front desk. It's kind of had befriended her over days, and there were some suspicious details about him, but I've kind of drawn a blank on what they are right now. I think he quit not long after the investigation started. Weird little details like that. So it could possibly be, a front desk guy. I'm not sure if he was officially employed by the Cecil or a security guard, some subcontracting, but there was some suspicion about a hotel, a guy who worked at the hotel, basically.
Now we're talking about a very petite young girl who mysteriously ends up on the roof of this place in a tank where somebody of her, of a medium to stronger strength would have troubles allegedly lifting these big steel lids that are on there, especially from the inside of one of these water tanks. I mean, this is what gets a little bit weird because when she was found, the water tank lid was closed.
Yeah, because I've heard conflicting reports about that.
Okay.
Some say that the tank lid actually was open when they found her. And it's one of those things where you read this and then you read that and you don't know what to believe anymore. So I'm not even sure about that detail. I just know that if you were having some sort of episode, I mean, I don't know why you would throw your clothes into the water tank with you. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna hop in there of your own volition, I mean, it's possible that she jumped in on her own and then removed her clothes and her wristwatch somewhat calmly while she was in there. But still, you would expect to find her stomach full of water if it was a drowning death.
Which makes sense. So let's just say hypothetically the lid was closed, because I believe that was in the official report. There is no way a woman, I shouldn't say that. No way a woman of her size could do it. I mean, maybe she, in a psychotically induced rage that she was in, maybe she found some extra human strength in order to leap up and close the lid. I don't know. But it seems like an awfully funny way or strange way to commit suicide when the Cecil has a very large reputation of people either jumping out of windows or jumping off the roof of the building to kill themselves. I mean, it does have a high suicide rate.
Yeah. It would be a very unusual, if not unique, way for one to kill themselves. I don't know. That'd be a very creative way to go about it. I mean, based on like I think I mentioned earlier. I mean, it did seem like she had a very active mind, but I mean, yeah. If one was going to commit suicide, they wouldn't buy gifts for their family, worry about the weight of the gifts as she's traveling to return home to give the gifts, and then of all ways to do it, you know, to jump in a water tank and not be able to get out. That's so, I don't know, like they're quicker, just probably, I don't know about better, but they're just more pleasant ways. I don't know. It's a weird topic, you know.
So let's get to the autopsy. Let's get to the autopsy for a quick second, because I think this kind of ties in. During the autopsy, was there any signs of struggle or duress, sexual abuse, or anything like that?
Yeah, there was like blood pooling found in the subcutaneous tissue around her anus. And in fact, her anus was prolapsed at the time that they found her. Now, whether that's the sort of thing that just happens to a body after 3 weeks in the water, I'm not exactly sure. I don't think so. This is not a common thing that you hear. I mean, you hear about skin slippage and other gruesome details, which are present with Elisa Lam. But not that. There's no evidence of any, you know, like sexual activity vaginally in the autopsy report. I know they took samples of her vagina, and I don't know, they ran tests on it, and they came back just like normal, what you would expect to find in somebody that had no trauma or any sort of activity in that area prior to death. But yeah, her anus was prolapsed, and there had been blood pooling around the area. It's hard to say what that's from. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but it sounds like there was some type of sexual activity. Although there's no mention of semen. I don't know if that's the sort of thing that would still cling to that area after almost 3 weeks submerged in water. You would think that there would be, but there's no mention of it in the autopsy report. Although, like I said, what's released publicly is incomplete.
Right. As we only got a couple minutes here before we got to go to break again. So why then, or was there any official answer as to why the autopsy report was stated one way, then changed, and then changed back to the original decision?
I'm not sure. My, I guess you can call it conspiracy theory, is that this is a girl who isn't from LA. We all know how busy the LAPD is. I think they just wanted to clear the case, to be honest with you. I think they wanted to come up with, you know, as convenient, you know, a cause of death as possible, and just sort of brush it off and forget about it, clear it off the books, case closed, let's move on. She's not even American. There's no reason in wasting too many resources on this, especially if it was kind of leaning towards in their investigation that it was maybe more accidental, what had happened than it was like a serial type of situation, that it wasn't likely to happen again one way or the other. I don't know. That's my best guess, though, is that because she's Canadian, it just didn't really.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, you just don't want to waste so many public resources on somebody who's not even a local,
And that could very well be. Was there any other damage that you saw in the autopsy report around her body, around her neck, shoulders, head? Was there any scarring or damage?
No, there was nothing else like that. There was no blunt force trauma. There were no needle marks. There was nothing else like that. So.
Very weird.
It's bizarre, yeah.
So it looks like, for the damage that was done, to her anus, it almost looks like she had been potentially raped or something along those lines, which could have put her into some sort of psychosis, considering she was bipolar and off her meds.
Yeah. No, I could totally see that. Especially, if there was no semen found, it doesn't mean that there wasn't rape. There are some rapists who are impotent, who use objects. There are some disgusting people out there. And whether or not there was any blunt force trauma or any drugs in her system that put her out, it doesn't mean that she was able or even coherent enough to prevent herself from being dumped into the water tank.
It is very strange. Very strange indeed. And Lucas, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. I'm going to get you to hold on right there with that thought, because we are going to step out for a break here at the top of the hour. Lucas Klaukien is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We are talking about the mystery behind the strange death of Elisa Lam at the Cecil Hotel in 2013. It's a little bit haunting, a little bit chilling, and quite strange indeed. Lucas's blog is youmaybedeadanddreaming.blogspot.com. You can check it out there. We got him for another half an hour here on Spaced Out Radio right after the break. Stay tuned.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thanks for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Chris Cogswell and Chris George Zuger are back with Reality Paranormal. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, all of our archives are free on youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Epicaricacy. Epicaricacy is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. Soon, shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the SOR Newswire, and so much more. For the final time tonight, we introduce Lucas Klaukien. He is a blogger out of Vancouver, British Columbia, who has written and investigated a piece about the Elisa Lam mystery death at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, California, back in 2013. It's a case that people just will not forget because of that eerie elevator video that is out there of her. Lucas, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Witnesses. It all comes down to witnesses. And obviously, the LAPD would have done their homework and due diligence in trying to figure out if there was any foul play regarding this, whether there was other people involved. What was the statements or the stories coming out of the LAPD, especially with the elevator scene?
The only thing I've ever managed to dig up on that was that they canvassed the area. They were asking for information, and the one person who stepped forward and said they remembered her was that woman who worked at the last bookstore that she was at. I'm sure they talked to every single one of the Cecil employees who were there at the time that she was, or at least, I would hope that they had done so. There was one, actually, now jogging my memory, report. They said that when she returned to the hotel on January 31st, that day, that she came alone, which I think would be a pretty important detail. And it doesn't mean that she ended her night alone, but when she went out, she went shopping for gifts for her family. When she came back to the hotel, she was by herself.
Do we know if maybe there was somebody who had an appealing interest in her in the hotel?
Well, like I said, there was some speculation that there was a young man who worked the front desk, possibly had built up some sort of, relationship in passing with her. It's difficult to kind of point fingers at this point, but there's some compelling evidence that he might have at least known what was going on. Maybe, maybe what had happened to her was an accident that somebody was aware of that had taken place and either didn't report it or tried to hide it. I mean, if you were working at a hotel, met somebody, kind of liked them, and you were hanging out with them in the hotel, and, some tragic accident happened, and for whatever reason, you panicked, and you didn't want anybody to find out what had happened. If for no other reason than you didn't want to be held criminally responsible for negligence, probably the best place to hide that evidence would be in the water tank, because it would give you enough time to scrub any other evidence, such as her phone. Her cell phone has never been found. And, of course, people speculate about what happened to that because posts on her blog, new posts were showing up on her blog up to 11 months after her death. Now, the best possible explanation for that was that she had them queued up for whatever reason, months in advance, these posts that she had planned to put up on her blog on a specific date that was well ahead in the future, and they just post automatically. That's the best possible explanation, but that phone was never found. And the police checked the room that she was staying in, but they weren't able to check the entire hotel. They weren't able to check every single room in the hotel because they had no probable cause, because they couldn't be sure that any criminal activity was involved in her disappearance at the time. Remember, there was about a 3-week window there where she was reported missing, and nobody knew what had happened to her. And it was in that time that the elevator video was released. I think it was 4 or 5 days before her body was found in the water tank. The video had been released.
How did they find her?
Well, so the residents at the Cecil, specifically some of the long-term residents, were very vocal about this, that the water pressure in the hotel, like the showers and things like that, was very low, and that there was a foul smell to the water, and that there was a kind of sickly sweet taste to the tap water. And then, maintenance guys went up to the water tanks to check it out, and that's how she was found, in the northeast water tank on the top of the roof. It's shocking everybody,
I understand that, but if they have the only video, okay, and as grotesque as that is, because, people were actually drinking that water, which I'm sure may have led to lawsuits or something along those lines, and we can get into that. But with the video of her on that floor and acting so weird, you think that they would know whether or not she was still in the building, considering the fact that there would be obviously cameras or even an elevator showing her going down or into the lobby if she took a stairway.
Right. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It seems like many things in the case were seemingly mishandled, if not outright bungled. by the investigators, by LAPD. I mean, you know, there was a famous case of, well, I don't know how famous it is actually, but there was a woman who entered a hotel with a man, and then there was video of it, and the man left carrying a suitcase, and the woman was never seen leaving the hotel. But, you know, of course, they scoured the room, they scoured the entire hotel, they couldn't find her. It turned out that she left the hotel via the suitcase. She had been murdered. But, I mean, it's a pretty obvious detail when you think about it. If something goes in, doesn't come out, where is it? It's got to still be in there, no? That was a pretty novel way of removing a body, was by stuffing it in a suitcase. You would expect, if somebody went missing, you would expect to see video of them leaving the building and then just not returning.
Did they check the roof? Why didn't they check the water tanks to see if she was in there if they did go on the roof?
Well, yeah, they did, actually. They did check the roof. The roof was a heavily trafficked area. I'm not sure if it still is. It kind of served as somewhat of a smoke pit for the residents that live there. It was quite frequently used. And in that video that I mentioned earlier that's on YouTube of the Chinese guys who went there to see how easy it would be to get on the roof, they found tons of beer bottles stuffed into little nooks and crannies all around the water tank. But they took dogs up there, and the dogs just couldn't get a scent for whatever reason. But I don't think that they got really close to the water tanks. For whatever reason, the dogs just never picked up her scent. I couldn't tell you why that is, except possibly Elisa was brought up to the roof on somebody's shoulder, and she never actually walked on the ground, on the roof up there. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
Well, and that would make sense because, I mean, I don't know how the whole, tracking with police dogs works. I mean, it's obvious. You stick the dog on the ground, it picks up a scent, and then kind of runs with it. But you would have to think that, with the sunshine and on top of a roof, which is pretty hot, and I'm surmising here, I could be completely wrong. But if she was walking herself, you'd think there'd be a stronger scent that would lead to the water tank.
Yeah, and it's not like it was 3 weeks in between the time that she was, missing to the time that the police were up there with the dogs. I mean, it was fairly soon after. So, yeah, you expect something. I mean, it wasn't necessarily hot at that time of year. I remember seeing that, like, the night, for example, that she, like January 31st, 2013, it was kind of cool. It was about 7 degrees Celsius or so. So it was kind of cold, like maybe not by Canadian standards, but it was fairly cold for California. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind the elevator video starts at 11:30 at night. So it's cold, and I mentioned earlier, she's wearing a light hoodie and just a gray T-shirt, much like what I was wearing in San Francisco when I was up there. So maybe her body was acclimatized to a colder environment, and she didn't feel that cold. But it doesn't necessarily seem like the kind of thing that you would wear if you were planning to go up onto a roof. I mean, I don't know how many rooftops you've been on that are high up there, but I mean, it gets windy up there. And it's cold. It's colder up top than it is down below on the street usually. So you wouldn't necessarily want to be up on a roof in the middle of January, February, even in California, in just shorts and, a light T-shirt and a light hoodie. It just doesn't seem like she was planning to go up there.
And her cell phone was never found?
Yeah, no, it's never been found.
What did the police chalk that up to? That she maybe lost it? Or, let's face it, cell phones get stolen all the time.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think they cared that much. I don't think they looked into it with as much detail as you might have hoped. Because at the very least, you would notice a detail like that and say, okay, well, the cell phone's not in the water tank with her. It wasn't in her room. So maybe the cell phone had been left near the water tank, and somebody who went up there for a smoke said, hey, free phone, I'm going to take it, great, sell it. But, everything else in her possession had been left in her room, her luggage and things like that. You'd think, well, who had access to her room in between the time that she was, declared missing and the investigation started and the time that she actually went missing? It would have been somebody who worked at the hotel. And at the very least, you would say, well, how did they know that she was missing, that they would be able to go into her room and find her cell phone? Maybe it was some of the, like a maid or somebody going into the room, and they just, who does that? Oh, free phone. This person who's staying in this room isn't in here. I'm just going to take their stuff. That's not, I don't know. You just don't expect something like that. You get fired really fast for doing stuff like that. Because if the person isn't missing, that's the first thing they're going to notice. They're going to report it right away, and they're going to know exactly who took it. So it's not likely.
It is kind of intriguing. How has the family dealt with this? Because they seem to have gone quite private in regards to this. Yeah,
that's really my impression. And I got to be honest with you, Dave. The temptation is there, but to just at least, offer condolences, but it's an awkward thing. I don't necessarily want to go to somebody's place of business, at Paul's restaurant. It's close-ish to me. I know where it is. I know how to get there. I just don't want to bring it up. But based on everything that I've read, yeah, they wanted to sue the Cecil Hotel, and their case was thrown out of court because it was argued that the Cecil Hotel had no way of knowing that she was going to end up in a water tank, so they can't be held criminally responsible for the water tank being so easily accessed. Which it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be easily accessed. It's supposed to be an alarmed door. You're not supposed to be able to get up there. But like I said, it's kind of a known thing among the residents that live there that's where you go to smoke instead of going all the way down 15 floors to have a cigarette on the ground floor. Let's just go up on the roof. It's right there. Boom. Let's have a smoke. It's easy to get to. It doesn't mean that there's constantly somebody there having a smoke. It just, it's one of those things that's sort of overlooked by the Cecil Hotel. But they couldn't be held civilly responsible in that case. And ever since then, they don't really want to give interviews about it. In fact, journalists have come out of the woodwork, really, to me, via Facebook or email, wanting to talk to me because they get the wrong impression that I knew her or I know people that knew her, which is completely false. But they've said to me that, they've come across a complete brick wall on this. Nobody will talk. No, not a friend in town, not the sister, not the parents. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Dale is asking, do we know if the Cecil Hotel even had the technology that would allow posting at a future date, like maybe on the cameras or something along those lines?
You mean for the timestamp?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, you program the date in, and that's what shows up on the timestamp. But I don't know why you would. And that's a good point. I mean, maybe the infamous video isn't even from the day that she disappeared, because you don't know, because you don't see the timestamp. I mean, you see it, but you don't see the numbers or the details in it.
It's strange nonetheless. There are so many people who are looking into this case, whether it's amateur sleuths, bloggers like yourself. You know, there may be private investigators involved. I really haven't got a clue. But why do you think this is a case that just will not go away? Why do people keep bringing this up like we are tonight?
Well, there's definitely the spookiness factor. I mean, it's an unfortunate thing to me that part of the reason what keeps this thing going, which is a positive, is that, you know, how distorted things get, where it becomes almost a campfire story, you know? I mean, there's a not insignificant number of people online who post who don't even believe that she existed, that she's part of some weird conspiracy theory psyop that has to do with tuberculosis, because the name of the test that they administered to the homeless in the area around the time that she disappeared happened to be called the Lam Elisa. My whole point when I wrote the article that I wrote on my blog was to try and like throw a little bit of water on that particular fire and say, you know, this, as cool as it is to kind of tell spooky stories, and I get it, I totally get it. This is a real tragedy to me. She's a beautiful young girl, you know, just life cut short one way or the other. Nobody really knows why. And, you know, my only hope is that I can come back on Spaced Out Radio at a future date, and we can talk about, you know, wrapping this thing up. Like, oh, you know, what did we get right? What did we get wrong? Here's what actually happened.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, that'll happen hopefully in the future, where, you know, if there's people still digging into it, and you never know, fresh clues may pop up, an eyewitness may pop up. Things have happened like that in the past. It's not out of the ordinary, although the chances are slim with the case being closed that it could really ever be opened again. It would have to be something extremely substantial, but we'll keep that in mind. Could you do me a favor, Lucas, as we start to wrap things up? I want to say thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight and filling us in on this mysterious Elisa Lam case. Let everybody know where your blog is, where they could find you, and do some reading and research on their own.
Yeah, I have a blog called You May Be Dead and Dreaming, .blogspot.com. There, I wrote a 2-part article about Elisa Lam, and I wanted to clear up some misconceptions in that. It's just chock full of links. I think by the time you finish reading that and going through the links, there's hyperlinked within the text, and at the bottom of the article, it's sourced with a list of links.
Right.
I think
Thank you.
By the time you go through that, you'll have a better understanding.
Appreciate that, my friend. Lucas, we're going to say goodnight to you. Coming up next in the next half hour, Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine and the SOR Newswire. We'll be back after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Time for You. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother Is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Welcome back to the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. As we rounded third, we are heading for home tonight, and we bring in Mr. Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine for tonight's SOR Newswire. Each and every night on this show, we bring you the weird, the wacky, the WTF of the news of the day and night. Some of it will make you scratch your head. Some will be like, really? That actually happened? And with that, we bring in the new president of Team Stump, Mr. Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine. Olaf, how you doing, buddy?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing great, my friend. I am doing absolutely great. Had a really interesting interview about that Elisa Lam case at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, and that's just so strange, man.
That's a weird one.
Total weird one.
That is a weird one. Yep.
But you know what else? You know what else is weird? There was multiple sightings over in Ireland of a UFO.
Yeah,
and it is
three pilots. Three pilots saw it.
Yeah, I think that number is now up to 5. There was one pilot chiming in, stating that this craft was moving so fast, Mach 2 plus, that they saw a couple lights. The pilot was from Virgin Flight 76, and his entire flight crew saw it. I mean, this is getting strange. I mean, we're all of a sudden, you know, it made me think, Olaf, remember the other day with Amy Martin, and you and I touched about it as well, about timelines.
Right.
You know, with the Smithsonian and the Harvard study about, you know, Oumuamua, and now this coming out very publicly and basically being front page news on a lot of different mediums. This is very strange, man. Very, very strange.
Yeah, the timing's weird. Timing's very weird.
We can barely hear you, my friend. I need you to speak closer.
The timing is very weird.
It totally is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now. We got you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
All of a sudden,
those strange. You've got the Harvard study, and now suddenly you've got a bunch of pilots who are trained observers.
we're losing, Olaf. We're losing your sound again. We got to get you to bring your microphone right close up. There you go, my friend. Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.
No problem.
You having a shave or something? Putting it on your counter there, or what?
No, it's my headset. If the plug goes in one place, you hear me okay. If the plug goes in the other place, you don't. So I'm just moving it around.
All right. Well, this is what I find very interesting is the fact that, thank goodness it was pilots for Virgin Atlantic, because Sir Richard Branson, he sure is pretty public and open about a lot of things and allows a lot of freedom with his employees. That's what he's very famous for in regards to, being probably one of the most popular billionaires on this planet and owner of Virgin. So it's nice that it's one of his pilots to come through, because I think if it was somebody, say, from Japan Airlines or, American Airlines, United, or Air Canada, or somebody like that, I think there would be a whole lot of silence on this event.
Well, I always take it back to the beginning of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where those pilots are having the sightings, and then the air traffic controller says, "Do you want to report this?" And then there's this long pause, and the pilot says, "No, we're good." So I think a lot of those sightings definitely go unreported because the pilots don't want to deal with the aftermath. But it was very interesting, the timing and the fact that so many pilots saw the same thing. And again, they're trained observers. A lot of them are ex-military or reserve military. So, they're the guys that you want to see it.
Yeah, it's very strange, this entire story. I mean, these pilots were literally, a little freaked out by this. They were a little freaked out. One of the pilots claimed that it looked like a meteor or some kind of object re-entry. It appears to be multiple objects following the same sort of trajectory, very bright where we were. I mean, they were very open with the media in regards to this. There is the possibility it could be meteorites. It's very, very possible that it happened that way. But, I mean, these pilots, they're trained. They know what's in the skies. It's not like, one of us standing on the ground seeing, a light floating in the sky and thinking, oh, there's a UFO. In the meantime, it's the International Space Station. These guys are trained to see what they see in the sky because they're always looking. It's a safety issue.
Well, and they're also, you're talking about people, especially the command pilots, that are, they're up there for thousands of hours. I mean, it's not like they're fresh to flying an airplane. I mean, these guys, they're required to have thousands of hours of piloting, and they have hundreds of hours of training. I mean, these guys are very well trained. And again, they're up there all the time. And, if you ever want to hear great sightings, talk to a pilot. They'll tell you off the record crazy things that they see while they're flying. They just won't report it.
No kidding. Well, let's hope that this opens up the door to a lot of other pilots to speak up about what they are seeing strange in the sky, because I find it very intriguing, especially coming off of the Harvard and Smithsonian's report about Oumuamua last week.
Yeah, I think that every time something like this happens, it makes it a little easier for the next, people who see stuff to report it and to talk about it and to be able to comment. So I'm all for it.
And Jeff brings up a good point on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. This coming weekend is the Leonid meteor shower. And that they could have been meteors. They really could have been meteors coming through. But I think these guys are trained enough to know what would be a meteor and what would be a craft. That's my opinion.
That's my opinion, too. Again, you're talking about people who are in the air for thousands of hours. I mean, think about every day you go to work and, you drive on the road and you drive to your job and you drive home and then you're doing your job. It's like, you in the process of doing that, you get used to what you should see while you're driving, what you should see while you're on, at work, what you should see on your way home. These guys, that's their job, is flying an airplane. So, I'm sure they've seen meteorites. I'm sure they know what to look for. If they think it's weird, then it's probably weird.
Definitely. Let's move on in the news. What do you got for us tonight?
This just in, Mississippi man crashes truck in a courthouse for very bizarre reason. The suspect told officers he intentionally crashed into the courthouse to let officials know that his drug paraphernalia had been stolen. A man has been arrested after he drove his pickup truck into a courthouse in Mississippi. News outlets reported that the Gulfport Police Department said in a news release that 28-year-old Keith Cavalier told officers he intentionally crashed into the Harrison County Courthouse early Saturday because it was the best way to let them know that his drug paraphernalia had been stolen.
Where's Darwin when you need him? Honestly.
Just saying.
The sad part is this is happening. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
this
real.
Is happening.
It's
real.
It's real. It's real.
I don't
Can't
get
make this stuff up.
Why do you do that? It's not like it's not easy to find. I mean, I don't know. I've never been a drug addict. Do certain drug addicts have their favorite riggings? Is that what it's called? I don't know.
I don't know. But I'll tell you, it's a great way to get the police's attention is to drive through a courthouse in your truck.
Did he not think of the responses? Did he not think of the repercussions of trying to get that?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no, because
My
he
goodness.
did it. You want another one to scratch your head?
Yeah, please.
You ready? Pedestrians try to cross vehicle-only bridge in a bus costume. A group of pedestrians attempting to cross a vehicle-only bridge in Russia were stopped by police despite disguising themselves as a cardboard bus. A video filmed by a surprise witness and posted on YouTube shows 4 people trying to walk across the Zolotoy Bridge in Vladivostok while wearing a cardboard bus costume. The video shows police stop the group and make them turn around. Why are they being chased away? It's beautiful. It's art. Why don't they understand it? A woman's voice says on the video. So they dressed up as a bus and attempted to cross a bridge.
At least they were creative.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Why walk across the bridge?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why go to that much trouble to cross a bridge? Find a different bridge. I mean, that takes effort.
Don't get it. Don't get it. Like, why waste your time? Like, are they not going to be able to tell that they're in a cardboard cutout? I mean, you got to be a little bit more brilliant than that. You really do.
You do. I mean, did they think that they were camouflaging themselves that well?
I guess so.
That's a head scratcher, that one. I mean, I get why the guy drove into the courthouse. He was high. These people weren't high. They just dressed up as a bus and pretended to be a bus.
I mean, that's something you expect in a McDonald's drive-thru.
Have you ever tried to walk up to a drive-thru?
Unsuccessfully, yes.
Yes, same here. I tried one time when I was a kid.
Didn't work.
Did not work. They said I had to be in a car. I said, well,
imagine that.
What if I go get my bike? What if I get my bike? And they're like, nope, you have to be in a car. I'm like, okay. But I was a kid. These people were adults.
Of course. My friend, we got time for one more.
Okie dokie. U-Haul truck hoisted out of empty Las Vegas pool. Police were called to a backyard of a Las Vegas home to help a tow truck driver hoist a U-Haul truck out of an empty swimming pool. The Las Vegas Police Department said officers were dispatched at 8:50 a.m. Wednesday on a request to keep the peace while Jose Norena of Big Valley Towing worked on getting the moving truck out of the empty pool. You never realize what people do until you become a tow truck driver, Norena told KSNV-TV. When we got the call originally, we kind of didn't believe it, so we needed some evidence. So we asked for a picture. In fact, the truck was in the pool, he said. Big Valley Towing posted a video to Facebook showing the truck with a large pulley being used to hoist the U-Haul out of the pool. The company said the driver's shoelace became stuck on the accelerator when he was pulling into the driveway and the truck ended up in the pool. So U-Haul trucks in pools. People crossing bridges dressed up as a truck or dressed up as a school bus. And of course the guy who drove into a courthouse.
And aliens.
And aliens.
And aliens, my friend. Just a little dose of aliens as we go into the thought of the day.
Just a little. Go for it.
Absolutely. U-Haul truck into the pool. Oh my goodness. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we post a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then we read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. So today's Thought of the Day goes with the topic of the night. It is, what do you think happened in the Elisa Lam mystery at the Cecil Hotel? Your responses? Here we go. Kelly, it's really hard to say. What isn't hard to say is that there is tons of evidence pointing toward foul play. How she could get the door to the water tank open and closed, get stripped down out of her clothes while she was drowning. I think a lot of this case is due to poor police work. I'm no cop or don't have any type of criminal investigation experience, but there has to be someone in there who knows, someone who caused her to end up in the tank. All right.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
Evan says, I think it points largely to mental instability. Evan doesn't believe anything. He's a buddy of mine. I don't even think I'm not even going to say it. Not even going to say it. He's a good dude, though. Gail. Based on what information is available, I believe she was the victim of foul play, and the investigation into her death was minimal due to her having been branded with mental illness and having been a person of no consequence, both of which were as criminal as whoever killed her. Robert. This was in one of David Paulides' books. Seems impossible for her to end up there. She was talking to someone on the elevator, but was alone. Does that seem outerworldly? Let's see here. Natasha. Foul play for certain, but without all of the available evidence, hard to determine. Joe. Hotel gnomes. Always got to get the gnomes in there.
Always gnomes.
Jade. What on earth or not would be the motive to kill her and hide her in such a difficult, if not impossible, place? Why? It is one of the strangest stories. Coral. Skulldugger for sure, pardon me. Given the hotel's history of serial killers that have resided there and the bad karma that brings, however, in this Elisa Lam case, my money is on an inside job by someone, likely a maintenance person or some sort, that works or has worked there, knows the hotel's routines and intricacies, and has a top master key. Having said that, it is somewhat easy to pick locks that are on a master key system, so it could be anyone with that knowledge. If the doors are electronic keying systems, I think the number of potential killers may be smaller. Daryl. Carl did it. Or maybe a gnome did it. You notice how there's always somebody who has to get the gnome shot in?
Always. Every night.
I am one with the gnomes, people. I am one with the gnomes now. Jason, I'm not sure, but it's something very sinister. Crazy and fascinating story, though. Joe went for a swim in the water tank. No lifeguard, and Riptide got her, or she was murdered. And all of you making fun of me about the whole invisibility cloaking question that I asked. This is from Joker. Elisa posted online about a Pentagon-funded invisibility cloaking project right before she died. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
Telling you. Just the way it kind of goes. Yep. And that's
weird.
where we're going to round it up for today's Thought of the Day, my friend. Olaf, tell everybody where they can find Paranoia Magazine.
ParanoiaMagazine.com, Paranoia Magazine on Facebook, Paranoia Mag on Twitter, and Paranoia Mags on Instagram.
Thank you so much. We also want to say a big thank you to Lucas Klaukien for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight to talk about the Elisa Lam case. I wonder if we'll ever find out more about that, or maybe the investigation was what it is, just right there. Either way, a beautiful young soul was taken. That we do know. And that, at times, is what we need to remember. Seriously. Tomorrow night on the show, we got a good one for you. Chris George Zuger, Chris Cogswell, Reality Paranormal. We're going to talk about a lot of UFO stuff and a lot of paranormal as well. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific. Make that 9:06 if you want to be exact. 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL for allowing us to rock out to Little Brother Is Watching every single night. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio as he rocks us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Big thank you to everybody on Spreaker for a great chat, and the SOR Space Travelers Club. Love to have you guys participating. Everyone in Rev Radio, thanks for tuning us in and playing along. And on Twitter, at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you were snarky as ever. It was beautiful. Thanks for sharing the show, telling your friends, and doing your part to make us bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.